Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for a journey into the annals of history as we unravel the breathtaking story you probably have never heard before, as I couldn't find any account of it on the internet. This is the story of Sergeant William F. Burhams, a true hero from the pages of World War II. Brace yourselves for a tale of resilience, courage, and the indomitable human spirit. So let's not waste another moment. Grab your popcorn and let's dive into the extraordinary experiences of Sergeant Burhams. Our story commences with Sergeant William F. Burhams, a brave engineer and turret gunner who, along with his combat crew, ventured overseas from the States to serve in World War II. They were led by Lieutenant Waldo, and their journey was filled with anticipation and a sense of duty. However, their fate would soon take an unexpected turn. But before we delve into Sergeant Burhams' incredible journey, let's take a moment to appreciate the awe-inspiring aircraft that played a pivotal role in his heroic story, the B-25 bomber. The B-25 was a medium-range bomber that became an iconic symbol of American air power during World War II. The B-25, also known as the Mitchell, was a versatile and rugged aircraft capable of taking on a variety of missions. It boasted a sleek and aerodynamic design with twin engines and a wingspan that demanded respect in the skies. This remarkable aircraft was not just a machine, it was a symbol of courage and sacrifice. But beyond the impressive features of the B-25, it was the men who flew them that truly brought these aircraft to life. Among them were the turret gunners, a brave and fearless breed of airmen who faced the enemy head-on from their unique vantage point. As turret gunners, they manned the powerful armaments mounted on the aircraft's turrets. These turrets, often positioned at the top or the belly of the plane, allowed them to fire heavy machine guns in any direction, fending off enemy attacks and protecting their fellow crew members. From their elevated perches, turret gunners were the eyes and ears of the crew, scanning the skies for enemy fighters and keeping watch over the vulnerable areas of the aircraft. Their job was not just a technical duty, it was a vital role that required vigilance and fearlessness. Imagine the emotions of a turret gunner as they took their position high above the clouds, knowing that every moment could bring life or death. The weight of their responsibility was immense, and their nerves were undoubtedly tested during each mission. But amidst the chaos and the danger, these turret gunners displayed an unwavering determination to protect their crew and complete their mission. Their courage and camaraderie were the backbone of the B-25 bombers, and they epitomized the spirit of the greatest generation. As we step into Sergeant Burhams' story, remember that his role as a turret gunner was not just a job. It was a calling that required strength, resilience, and heart. The B-25 bombers and their turret gunners played an indomitable part in the history of World War II, and their legacy continues to inspire generations to this day. On an ominous day in November of 1944, Sergeant Burhams and his fellow crew members found themselves on the Liberty ship Morrison R. Waite, anchored in Leyte Harbor in the Philippines. Unbeknownst to them, a sinister kamikaze attack was about to unleash chaos and horror. The deafening sirens, the palpable fear, and the sudden devastation challenged Sergeant Burhams' bravery like never before. As the morning sun rose, the crew went about their daily duties, some grabbing a quick meal, others taking a moment to steal a glance at the distant horizon. But the tranquility was short-lived. As sirens blared across the harbor, signaling imminent danger, the Morrison R. Waite found itself under attack. Sergeant Burhams was on duty, stationed near the bottom of the steel ladder that led to the deck. His heart pounded as he saw the sky darkening with enemy planes. Fear and determination etched across his face. He was ready to defend his comrades and the ship with everything he had. The ship's gunners valiantly fought back against the onslaught of kamikaze planes, but the enemy was relentless. With the sound of 20mm guns firing continuously instead of the usual bursts, Sergeant Burhams knew something was amiss. Danger was closing in. In a split second, the unthinkable happened. A kamikaze plane broke through the ship's defenses and crashed into the Morrison R-Waite, creating a deafening explosion. The impact ripped a gaping hole in the side of the ship, and chaos engulfed the decks. Sergeant Burhams, caught near the bottom of the steel ladder, witnessed the tragic loss of an officer who was trying to calm the men down below decks. It was a harrowing scene of carnage and devastation that would haunt him for years to come. But with courage and determination, Sergeant Burhams began climbing the steel ladder, making his way to the deck. But the path was treacherous, as he found himself being climbed over by other crew members, all striving to reach the surface amid the chaos. As the dust settled, the crew of the Morrison R-Waite emerged from the carnage, attempting to make sense of the devastation around them. Sergeant Burhams later went back down into the hold to help rescue the wounded, displaying remarkable bravery in the face of such adversity. The fear and chaos must have been enough to drive most men mad. In spite of that, Sergeant Burhams rushed back into the heart of danger in order to help rescue his brothers in arms. Their resilience, camaraderie, and the valiant efforts of the crew kept the ship afloat. They survived the attack, but the memories of that day would be forever etched into their hearts. For Sergeant Burhams and his comrades, this kamikaze attack marked a defining moment in their service to their country. After surviving the heart-stopping kamikaze attack, Sergeant Burhams and his crew faced more peril in the skies. During the infamous Fat Cat mission, their aircraft encountered a disastrous collision with a weapons carrier at Tacloban. During the mission, B-25 aircraft bombed Japanese shipping off of Touraine, now Da Nang, French Indochina, sinking the small sailing ships Kinsei Maru, Namakiri Maru, and Hinode Maru No. 3. The mission was a success, but the consequences were catastrophic, pushing their resolve and determination to the absolute brink. As the war raged on, Sergeant Burhams and his fellow crew members found themselves embarking on the Fat Cat mission. This wasn't just an ordinary flight. They were also carrying 8 other personnel back from Australia, adding to the weight and responsibility on their shoulders. The control tower had advised their pilot to make another approach due to a C-47 landing ahead. You see, the C-47 was slower than the B-25. But the weather was far from ideal as they approached Tacloban in the Philippines, and circling for another approach could have been time-consuming and potentially risky. In a daring decision, the pilot opted to disobey the control tower and land anyway. What followed was a heart-pounding sequence of events that would test the crew's mettle once again. The aircraft, not a special Fat Cat plane, was heavier than usual, and the C-47 ahead of them landed at a slower speed, so Burhams' pilot had to swerve sharply to avoid collision. The B-25 bomber crashed into a tent and a weapons carrier, instantly thrusting the crew into a life-threatening situation. Among the crew members, Sergeant Burhams experienced firsthand the force of the impact. As the dust settled, the realization of what just happened sunk in, and the crew knew they had a narrow escape from disaster. But little did they know that their harrowing journey had only just begun. A commanding officer, visibly upset about his damaged weapons carrier, confronted them. Yet, amidst the tension, the pilot staunchly defended their decision, reminding the officer of the lives that were potentially saved by avoiding the mountains. The Fat Cat mission and the subsequent aircraft collision tested Sergeant Burhams and his crew's resilience in the face of adversity. But these trials were only a prelude to an even greater challenge that awaited them in the skies of French Indochina. The courage and determination of Sergeant Burhams and his crew exemplified the spirit of the brave aviators who fought during World War II. Their unwavering dedication to their mission and each other forged a bond that transcended time and continues to inspire us today. Okay, let's move on to early 1945. Sergeant Burhams and his crew embarked on a daring mission to Touraine Bay, French Indochina. Their targets were heavily fortified and danger loomed at every turn. We'll take you into the heart of the gripping air battle, the relentless anti-aircraft fire, and the perilous moment when their aircraft sustained a critical hit. Their aircraft, the B-25, carried a formidable load of 500-pound bombs ready to unleash destruction upon the enemy. Torain Bay, later known as Da Nang, was a strategic location with ships anchored in the bay. The crew knew that they were up against formidable odds, facing heavy fortified targets as well as anti-aircraft from both land and sea, but they were determined to complete their mission at all costs. Sergeant Burhams' plane, part of a six-plane formation from the 501st, approached the target with precision. As the fourth plane in the fight, they were on high alert, carefully assessing the situation below. Their courage was unwavering, and their commitment to their mission was absolute. As the B-25s roared over the peninsula, they unleashed their payload on the enemy ships anchored in the bay. But with every bomb drop, they faced fierce opposition. The skies erupted with flak bursts, and the ships below retaliated with machine gun fire. The danger was relentless. One by one, the B-25s pressed forward, determined to complete their mission. Sergeant Burhams and his fellow crew members exhibited extraordinary courage, knowing that each moment could be their last. The mission was a high-stakes game of survival and triumph, and their aircraft was not without its share of damage. Amidst the chaos, Sergeant Burhams noticed a hit from an enemy aircraft fire. The aircraft sustained damage, and the pilot feathered one of the engines trying to maintain control. Additionally, gasoline was leaking into the fuselage from a ruptured tank, creating a dangerous and tense situation. With the aircraft now in a precarious state, the crew knew that ditching it at sea might be their only option for survival. They prepared for the possibility, discarding everything non-essential, knowing that their fate rested in the hands of the South China Sea. As the moment of reckoning approached, Sergeant Burhams and his crew found themselves in a race against time. With courage and unity, they braced for impact, uncertain of what lay ahead. Their fate was sealed, and the events that unfolded in the next few moments would change their lives forever. The mission to Torain Bay was an awe-inspiring display of heroism, valor, and sacrifice. Sergeant Burhams and his crew, amidst the perilous skies of French Indochina, exhibited the true essence of those who fought during World War II: courage, resilience, and the unwavering commitment to their mission. The events that followed the mission to Torain Bay thrust Sergeant Burhams and his crew into a desperate fight for survival. As their damaged B-25 bomber soared over the vast expanse of the South China Sea, they knew that their fate was now in the hands of the unforgiving waters below. With the aircraft slowly losing altitude, the crew prepared for inevitable ditching. Sergeant Burhams and his comrades knew that surviving a ditching in the South China Sea was a rare feat, but they clung to hope, mustering every ounce of strength and determination. As the B-25 bomber made contact with the water, the impact was brutal. The force of the crash jolted Sergeant Burhams, throwing him out of his turret gun position and into the water outside of the aircraft. With adrenaline pumping through his veins, he fought to stay afloat, desperately trying to grasp onto anything that would keep him alive. Blind and disoriented, Sergeant Burhams frantically searched for safety amidst the burning wreckage and gasoline-infused waters. In his darkest hour, he spotted a lifeline, a one-man inflatable life raft. Without hesitation, he inflated it and clung to it, knowing that it might be his only chance at survival. In the chaos that ensued, other crew members surfaced, forming a group in the water. The waves were fierce, reaching heights of up to 20 feet, and the crew found themselves at the mercy of the elements. Sergeant Burhams' leg wounds sustained during the bombing mission added to the agony of their situation. With the passing of each minute, hope for rescue diminished, but the crew never lost sight of survival. The South China Sea was a vast and unforgiving expanse, but they refused to succumb to its merciless nature. Their will to live was unyielding. For 4.5 grueling days, Sergeant Burhams and his comrades drifted southward in a life raft. Theirs was a harrowing journey marked by hunger, thirst, and exhaustion. Yet they clung to hope, taking turns cranking an emergency radio, praying that someone would hear their distress calls. With every passing day, their bodies weakened, but their spirits remained unbroken. Sergeant Burhams thought of his family back home, his baby girl he had yet to see, and that thought fueled his determination to survive against all odds. Then, on the 5th day, when hope seemed fleeting, fate intervened. The scent of diesel fuel wafted through the air, and the sound of a diesel engine echoed in the distance. A rescue was imminent, and the crew's hearts soared with newfound hope. The USS Burhams, under the command of Commander Johnny M. Hyde, emerged as their guardian angel. The submarine's crew braved through the seas to rescue Sergeant Burhams and his fellow airmen, pulling them to safety from the clutches of the relentless ocean. Their rescue was nothing short of miraculous. The crew of the USS Burhams proved that the bond among comrades knows no boundaries. For Sergeant Burhams and his fellow airmen, it was a moment of profound gratitude, knowing that they had been given a second chance at life. Following their rescue, Sergeant Burhams and his crew found refuge in Perth, Australia, but the emotional wounds ran deep. And there you have it, a breathtaking tale of survival, bravery, and the unbreakable bond forged by the crucible of war. Sergeant William F. Burhams' experience in World War II were a testament to the unyielding spirit of those who served during World War II. Let us always remember and honor the sacrifices made by our brave veterans, whose stories inspire us even today. If you were moved by this extraordinary journey through history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories. Until we meet again, stay curious and keep exploring. Thank you all for joining us on this unforgettable adventure. If you have any remarkable stories or other historical events you'd like us to cover in the future, be sure to share them with us in the comments below. Until next time, take care, and may the spirit of Sergeant Burhams and all the brave souls who served alongside of him continue to guide us. Farewell.